All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going deep on self-improvement,
Oh, nice.
but there's a twist.
Okay.
Our source material,
Mhm.
it's a YouTube video
Okay.
in French.
Oh.
It's called
Yeah.
Comment surmonter les faiblesses masculines et devenir plus fort,
Wow. Huh?
which translates to how to overcome masculine weaknesses and become stronger.
Right.
And it's from the channel Pas votre frère,
Okay.
not your brother.
Interesting.
But don't worry, you don't
Yeah.
need to brush up on your French.
Okay, good.
We've got you covered with the translations.
Right.
So this video,
Mm.
it lays out 6 weaknesses that are holding men back.
6 weaknesses.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
some of these,
Mhm.
they're pretty thought-provoking.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We're talking about things like
Yeah.
sweating the small stuff,
Mhm.
letting your spending get out of control.
Okay. Yeah.
And this one really caught my eye,
Yeah.
being controlled by women.
Oh, wow.
So to help us break this all down,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
got our expert here.
Yeah.
What do you make of all this? Like these so-called weaknesses?
Well, it's interesting how this video uses this language of weaknesses,
Right.
which immediately frames the conversation
Right.
in terms of power and control, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be fascinating to kind of unpack these ideas,
Absolutely.
see what we can learn
Yeah.
about, the path to self-improvement.
Absolutely. Let's dive right into
Dive.
the first weakness.
All right.
Worrying about unimportant things.
Okay.
And the speaker is very clear.
Mm-hmm.
He says, stop caring what random people say,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they haven't proven themselves
Oh,
or
right.
offered you like genuine appreciation before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about focusing on your own path, not
Yeah.
letting the peanut gallery distract you.
Yeah. I like that.
Right.
The peanut gallery. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
So this actually connects to a core principle in
Yeah.
psychology called locus of control.
Oh, locus of control. Oh,
Right. Interesting. So people with an internal locus of control,
yeah.
they believe that they have agency over their lives.
Right. Okay.
And people with an external locus of control
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're at the mercy of outside forces.
Right. Like they're being controlled by other people.
Exactly.
Correct.
So the speaker's basically encouraging men
Yeah.
to cultivate an internal locus of control,
Mm-hmm.
to take ownership of their choices
Yeah.
and not be swayed by
Mhm.
negativity or
Yes,
doubt.
please.
Right.
It makes sense.
And he illustrates this
Okay.
with a great example in the video talking
go
about
for it.
all those people out there
Mhm.
who are just waiting for you to fail.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Those people.
And they just want to criticize your every move.
Yeah. Yeah. You know the type.
So instead of focusing on them, he says, focus on the people who appreciate you
Right.
and support you.
Yeah. The ones who are actually there for you.
The ones who are genuinely invested in your success.
That's it.
Makes you think about the company you keep, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's your social circle. I mean, that can have a huge impact
Right.
on your mindset and your ability to achieve goals.
Absolutely.
Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people.
Yeah.
Make all the difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, now on to weakness number 2.
Great.
And this is where things get a little more complex.
Right.
The speaker says that men should master their attraction to women,
Okay.
focusing on finding one good woman
Mhm.
instead of chasing those fleeting desires.
Interesting.
So I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Yeah.
What's the deeper message here?
Well, on the surface, it might seem like, he's advocating for this very traditional view of relationships
right.
where men are expected to be
Yeah.
in control of their desires.
Yeah.
And women are seen as potential distractions.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if we dig a little deeper,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a more universal message here
Okay.
about the
Mhm.
importance of self-discipline and prioritizing your goals.
Right.
It's about recognizing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
our desires, they can lead us astray,
Mm.
and we need to develop
Uh,
the self-awareness and the
Yeah.
willpower
yeah.
to stay focused on what really matters.
So not necessarily about like demonizing women,
Right.
but rather about
Yeah.
recognize the power of desire and
Yeah.
learning to harness it
Yeah.
in a way that supports your overall goals.
Exactly. And I think this is something that, many people, regardless of gender,
Right.
can relate to, right?
Yeah.
We all have those desires that
Yeah.
can sometimes conflict with our long-term goals.
Absolutely.
Whether it's, the desire for instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of failure, or the temptation to just take the easy route.
Right.
The key is to develop that self-awareness and discipline
Yeah.
to make choices that
Yeah.
align with our values and our vision for the future.
Right now, the speaker goes even further with this, saying that no powerful person
Right.
has held on to power
Yeah.
for 10 plus years
Okay.
without controlling their attraction to women.
Hmm. Interesting.
And he even advises women to focus on themselves
Okay.
and not care about other people's opinions.
Right. And I think, this is where we need to be careful not to interpret his words too literally.
Right.
It's important to remember that this video is coming from, a particular cultural perspective.
Right.
And what might be considered, powerful
Yeah.
or successful in one culture might not translate to another.
Right.
So his advice might resonate with some listeners, but it's not necessarily a universal truth.
That's a good reminder to always listen critically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Consider different perspectives.
For sure.
Okay, on to weakness number 3.
Right.
Living beyond your means.
Okay.
Now, the speaker actually admits to doing this himself.
Well, right.
But strategically,
Right.
like to network with influential people in business class, for instance.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great example of how the same behavior
Right.
can be perceived very differently,
Yeah.
depending on the intention behind it.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
you're spending money that you don't have
Right.
just to impress others,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But if you're making strategic investments in your future,
Right.
even if it means stretching your budget a bit, that could be a smart move.
Yeah.
It's all about aligning your spending with your values
Mm-hmm.
and your long-term goals.
He actually gives some specific advice on this in the video.
Right.
He says, only spend on business class
Hmm.
if you can afford to do it twice a month.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just not worth it.
I appreciate that he provides those concrete guidelines.
Yeah.
It helps to cut through the ambiguity,
Right.
gives listeners a practical framework for, making those financial decisions.
Right. Encourages you to really think about,
Yeah.
your spending habits and whether they're serving you
Right.
or holding you back.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to weakness number 4,
Right.
which is neglecting physical health.
Okay.
So the speaker is a big proponent of a holistic approach,
Okay.
believing that physical health
Right.
is just as important as mental strength.
Makes sense.
He really emphasizes the connection between lifestyle and well-being.
This is a crucial point that I think often gets overlooked
Yeah,
in these self-improvement conversations.
right.
We tend to focus on things like productivity, goal setting, mindset, but
Yeah.
our physical health.
Right.
It's the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not taking care of your body,
Mhm.
it's going to be much harder to achieve your goals.
Right.
Live a fulfilling life.
And he's not just talking about aesthetics here.
Right? Right.
He emphasizes taking care of your body because it's the only one you have.
Yeah.
And being strong enough to protect yourself and your loved ones.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Again, it ties back to this idea of strength and masculinity.
Right.
It seems to be a recurring theme in this video.
It does. And it's a reminder that our ideas about self-improvement are often shaped by cultural norms and expectations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What might be considered strong or successful in one culture might be viewed very differently in another.
For sure.
So it's important to be aware of these cultural influences and to find success on your own terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the video. Okay.
Is when he talks about the fifth weakness,
All right.
a messy environment.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And he shares a great anecdote about his father saying, "You can't be the director of a company if you can't manage your own room."
Ooh, I love that.
I love that.
That's great.
It's such a simple
yeah.
but profound statement.
It is.
It really highlights that link between outer order and inner clarity.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Your physical environment, it can have a huge impact on your mental state.
Right.
When your surroundings are cluttered and chaotic, it can be difficult to focus.
Right.
Feel in control.
Yeah.
But when your space is clean and organized, it can create this sense of calm and clarity that extends to other areas of your life.
I love it. And he doesn't just stop there.
Okay.
He shares some specific tips
Right.
on maintaining a clean and organized space.
Like what?
Like his rule about socks.
Okay.
Only wear them once before washing.
I love those little details.
Me too.
It shows that he's not just talking in like these abstract terms.
Yeah.
He's giving practical, actionable advice
Exactly.
that listeners can implement in their own lives.
That's what people want, right?
Right.
They want to be able to take something away and actually use it.
And it's funny that he learned that sock roll.
Yeah.
From a woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a reminder that we can learn valuable lessons from those unexpected sources.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and finally we come to weakness number 6.
Okay.
Procrastination.
The dreaded procrastination.
Which he calls the devil.
Oh, wow.
He argues that it robs you of time, potential, and even your true identity.
Procrastination is a common struggle. And I think he's right to highlight, the serious consequences it can have.
Right.
When we consistently put things up. We're not just delaying tasks. We're delaying our own growth and development.
Yeah.
We're essentially telling ourselves that our dreams and aspirations aren't important enough to prioritize.
And his solution is to stop watching Netflix and start building your own business.
Oh, wow.
He really seems to value action and taking control of your destiny.
Right.
And he backs it up with his own experience, like jumping into professional fighting without any prior experience.
That's pretty impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a powerful example of what it means to walk the talk.
Absolutely. He's not just preaching from a pedestal.
Right.
He's sharing his own struggles and triumphs.
Yeah.
Which makes his message so much more relatable and inspiring.
And he offers a practical tool to combat procrastination.
Okay, what's that?
His 3-second rule.
3-second rule, all right.
If you have an idea, you have 3 seconds to start working on it. Otherwise, you'll never do it.
I love this. It's such a simple yet effective way to break through inertia and get things moving.
Yeah.
It's about training yourself
to
act on your impulses rather than letting fear or doubt hold you back.
Right. So we've covered the 6 weaknesses that he outlines.
Okay.
But there's more to dig into.
Oh, there is.
He gives some specific advice about women and finances.
Sure.
So let's
get into that.
Unpack that in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready.
All right. So we've explored those 6 weaknesses he talks about. But what I think is really interesting is his advice about finding a partner.
Okay.
Specifically when it comes to women and finances.
Right.
He seems to have some pretty strong opinions.
He does, yeah. And I think it's important to approach this part of the discussion with a critical lens.
Yeah.
While some of his advice might resonate with certain individuals. It's essential to remember that. His perspective is shaped by his own experiences and cultural context.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are some of the key points he makes?
Okay. Well, he emphasizes the importance of finding a partner who is supportive and intelligent.
Okay.
Someone who shares your values and aspirations.
All right.
And he cautions against getting caught up in superficial qualities like physical appearance or social status.
He uses a really striking analogy to illustrate this. Talking about how a lot of women that people admire, particularly in Africa, are not even real.
What does he mean by that?
Meaning their beauty is often enhanced through expensive means like hair extensions. Designer clothes.
Right. So he's essentially saying that true beauty comes from within.
Yeah.
And that men shouldn't be fooled by those outward appearances. It's about, looking beyond the surface, finding someone who's genuine and authentic.
And he makes a similar point about finances.
Okay.
Warning men against getting involved with women who are primarily interested in financial security.
Or who see a relationship as a way to solve, their financial problems.
Right, yeah.
He stresses the importance of finding a partner who's self-sufficient and willing to contribute to the relationship on an equal footing.
This ties back to his earlier point about living within your means.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
He's essentially advocating for financial responsibility and independence, both for yourself and for your partner.
Right.
He believes that a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and a shared vision for the future.
Yeah.
Not on financial dependence or manipulation.
And he even tells a really inspiring story
about
a woman who supported his dream of becoming a pilot, even when he doubted himself.
Wow.
She brought him enrollment papers for flight school.
Okay.
when he thought it was just a pipe dream.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, it really highlights the power of having a supportive partner.
Right.
Someone who believes in you, even when you don't believe in yourself.
Amazing.
Yeah, she saw his potential and encouraged him to pursue his dreams, even when he thought they were out of reach.
Right.
It's a beautiful example of what a true partnership can look like.
But he also cautions against falling into the trap of feeling like you have to prove yourself financially to a woman, especially if she hasn't shown any willingness to support you in return.
Right. Yeah, he emphasizes that. A woman who truly cares about you won't pressure you into spending money you don't have.
Right.
She'll understand your goals and be willing to support you through the tough times,
right,
both financially and emotionally.
He seems to believe that true love is about more than just material possessions or financial security.
It's about finding someone who accepts you for who you are, flaws and all.
But then he also shares some pretty strong opinions about women who prioritize money over everything else, saying many women are quick to ask, what does he do when they meet a new guy, rather than inquiring about his character or how he treats others.
This is where his perspective gets a bit more controversial, venturing into generalizations about women and their motivations. It's important to remember that. Not all women are driven by financial security, just as not all men prioritize money above all else. Relationships are complex, and reducing them to these simplistic stereotypes can be harmful.
He even states that it's easier to leave a man who doesn't have a lot of money than a man who showers you with gifts and takes you on fancy trips.
Again, this is a sweeping generalization that doesn't reflect the lived experiences of many individuals in relationships. While there are certain people who are motivated by, money and material possessions, there are also countless others who prioritize love, companionship, and shared values above all else.
So while his observations might hold some truth, it's important to take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Every individual and every relationship is unique.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the diversity of human experiences and avoiding those harmful stereotypes that can perpetuate negative biases and limit our understanding of relationships.
It's interesting how he ties this back to his earlier point about self-control. Arguing that men should be strategic and discerning in their choice of partner. Focusing on finding someone who aligns with their values and ambitions.
He seems to believe that. Men should approach relationships with the same level of intentionality and purpose that they bring to other areas of their lives. It's about choosing a partner who will support your growth and development, not someone who will hold you back or drain your resources.
And he has some pretty strong words for men who are constantly trying to impress women with money they don't have.
He says, don't waste your money on a woman who hasn't proven herself. Invest that money in yourself. Improve yourself and find ways to make money. She'll still be there when you're successful.
It's interesting how he frames self-improvement and financial success as intertwined.
He seems to believe that men need to prioritize their own development and financial stability before they can attract a worthy partner.
He makes another interesting observation about power dynamics in relationships, saying that women often give the impression that they know how to manage everything. But if a man shows that he's in control, they'll back off and let him take the lead.
This reflects a more traditional view of gender roles, where men are expected to be the leaders and decision makers in the relationship. However, it's important to recognize that, many couples today prefer a more egalitarian approach, where both partners share responsibilities and decision-making power.
He even gives some tactical advice.
Oh, does he?
About how to assert dominance. Ignoring a woman's messages for a while to see if she reaches out first.
This is where his advice veers into kind of a more manipulative territory. Games playing and emotional manipulation are not healthy foundations for a strong and lasting relationship. Open communication, honesty, mutual respect. These are essential ingredients for a thriving partnership.
So while his observations about power dynamics might hold some truth in certain contexts.
Right.
His advice about how to, quote, manage those dynamics is questionable at best.
Exactly. Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and open communication.
Right.
Not on power struggles or manipulative tactics.
He also has some specific advice about who men should be willing to sacrifice for.
Right.
Saying the only woman you should sacrifice 100% for is your mother, your sister, or your wife.
This statement reflects a very traditional view of family and gender roles. One that prioritizes blood ties and marital bonds above other relationships.
So he's essentially saying that men should prioritize their immediate family over any other woman, even if they're in a romantic relationship.
Yeah, and while it's understandable to feel, a strong sense of obligation towards family members, this kind of rigid hierarchy can be problematic.
Right.
It doesn't leave much room for other meaningful relationships, including friendships, mentorships, or even romantic relationships that haven't yet reached the stage of marriage.
He goes on to say that any other woman is just noise.
Okay.
And that men should focus on their own goals and ambitions rather than getting caught up in drama or distractions.
Again, this seems to be a recurring theme in his message.
Yeah.
Prioritize your own ambitions.
Right.
And don't let anything or anyone stand in your way.
But it's a very individualistic perspective that might resonate with some men, but could also be seen as,
dismissive or even disrespectful of women.
Right.
And their contributions to men's lives.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's important to acknowledge that. Yeah. Men's lives are enriched by a diverse range of relationships, including those with women who are not family members or wives.
Right.
So reducing women to noise is a reductive and ultimately harmful way of viewing relationships.
This section of the video is particularly challenging.
I think so, yeah.
Because it brings up some deeply ingrained beliefs about masculinity, relationships, and success.
It is.
It's definitely prompting us to think critically about these issues.
It is, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Even when we disagree with someone's perspective, it can be valuable to engage with their ideas. Try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It can help us to clarify our own values and beliefs and to have more nuanced and informed conversations about these important topics.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the final part of our deep dive,
where
we'll explore the speaker's ultimate message and what it means for men seeking self-improvement today.
Sounds good.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from practical tips on managing your finances to pretty thought-provoking ideas about masculinity and relationships.
Been a lot.
Yeah, but as we wrap things up, I kind of want to circle back to this overarching theme that runs throughout this video. The importance of action.
Absolutely.
The speaker is incredibly passionate about this point.
He is,
He repeatedly emphasizes that passive consumption.
Right.
Like
whether it's,
binge watching Netflix, endlessly scrolling social media.
We're just sitting around daydreaming.
Yeah. All that.
It's the enemy of progress.
He really hammered that home, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He even went so far as to tell viewers to turn off his video.
Right.
And go out and do something with what they learned.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah. It shows that he's not just interested in views or subscribers.
Right.
He genuinely wants to.
Yeah.
Inspire his audience to take action.
Yeah.
Create positive change in their lives.
One of the things he said that really stuck with me was how procrastination can rob you of your true identity.
Right.
It's not just about laziness or poor time management.
Right.
It's about denying yourself the opportunity to become the best version of yourself.
He articulated it so well in the video when he said, you don't even become the person you're supposed to be in life when you procrastinate.
Yeah.
You're living this half-life, constantly putting off your dreams and aspirations until someday.
Right.
Which never seems to arrive.
Exactly. And I think that's where his emphasis on action comes in.
Right.
He's not just saying, stop procrastinating.
Right.
He's saying, start living.
Exactly. Take ownership of your life.
About taking ownership of your life.
Keep setting clear goals.
Yeah.
Pursuing them with passion and determination.
And he uses a lot of vivid imagery to drive this point home.
Right.
He talks about how procrastination is like being your own prisoner.
Sure.
You're putting a rope around your own neck.
It's a stark reminder of the self-sabotage that can happen when we let fear and inertia hold us back.
He also makes an interesting distinction between being a consumer and being a creator.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Yeah. Consumers, they tend to passively absorb information and entertainment, whereas creators take that information and use it to build something new.
Exactly.
To make a difference in the world.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So the speaker is urging his audience to kind of shift.
To shift from that.
From a passive mindset to a more proactive, empowered approach to life.
I think that's a really important message.
What does this all mean for our listener? You know, what's the takeaway message here?
I think the key message is this. You have the power to create the life you want.
Yeah.
But it takes courage, commitment, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
Right.
It's about embracing action over inaction, choosing growth over stagnation, and becoming the architect of your own destiny.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Right. And it all starts with taking that first step, no matter how small. It could be as simple as making your bed in the morning or committing to a daily workout routine.
Or finally starting that project you've been putting off for months.
Exactly. The journey of 1,000 miles.
Begins with a single step.
It does.
And once you start taking action, even small actions, you'll be amazed at how much momentum you can build.
So we encourage you to reflect on the insights we've explored in this deep dive.
Right.
And ask yourself, what's one small step I can take today to move closer to the life I want to create?
Right. What's one action you can take to overcome a weakness or cultivate a strength?
The power's in your hands.
It is.
And the time to act is now.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
On this journey of self-discovery.
It's been great.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
Keep growing.
And keep striving to become the best version of yourself.
That's it for this deep dive.
All right, see ya.